And hello, everybody. Welcome back to another stream of Rails of the Eastern Iron. I'm back for another video live stream. And I'll be talking about basically the railroads of New Jersey. So, throughout my experience, I've had experience with particularly New Jersey railroads since a little boy. I started going out to local spots near where I live and things like that. One was a New Jersey Transit train station. My father used to take me and out to go see the trains of the passenger railroads. Well, New Jersey Transit. So what I'll do is I'll usually record the train. But before I had like all my equipment and stuff, I used to just do it with just normal phone. Just record with the phone. No expensive camera, things like that. So when I was little, I was just basically screaming in excitement with trains. Well, that's called foaming. But back then I didn't even know what foaming was. And I've experienced a bunch of cool things that happen on passenger railroads back then. And it was like 2014, 2015, maybe even earlier when I first started. When I started actually going out and seeing stuff. But before then, I used to just play with toy trains. And also watch videos. Yeah, I was crazy in that. But as I got a little older, I started going out more and more often to more spots. And then I met up with these other people, rail fans. And they told me some good spots to check out and stuff. And that was pre-2018 era. Once 2018 rolled around, that's when we started. So first, let's introduce the spot known as Bound Brook, New Jersey. So Bound Brook, I'm going to share the screen in a second. All right. Well, I'm going to, let me share my screen. Just bear with me for a second. Sorry about that. All right. So, Bound Brook Station. So now, well, when I first came along here, a lot of the place was a lot different back then. It used to be abandoned. So this portion of the building right here you're seeing over here was abandoned. It was covered up, boarded up. And what basically you'll get here at the station is passenger and freight railroads. For passenger, you obviously know NJ Transit will run, which is the Raritan Valley line, which runs from High Bridge, New Jersey to New York, which is a part of the NJ Transit Newark division. And mine is all diesel, not electric, which you'll probably see on the NJ Transit lines, which, let me explain this. So as you're seeing right here, this locomotive right here is known as an ALP 45 DP or A, one of the two. Common now on this line. Back then it used to be PL 42s and P40s. And those all used to run on that line back in the era before that. I don't really know much of the line, much history, but from what I know is that the CNJ, the Central Railroad of New Jersey, ran this line for freight and passenger operations. And now let's get to a video from Bound Brook. One of my local videos So as you guys can see on the right is the viewing platform for the city area. They opened it up last year. And now you can see coming here is Norfolk Southern Train 62V bound from Mingo Junction, Ohio to Oak Island, New Jersey, which carries trash empties. Leader is an SC-70 Ace EMD K5 LLA horn. Yep. So these are all what carry the waste and all the trash that goes in and out of New York City. So you'll see those trash cars, particularly on CSX and Norfolk Southern. Well, for CSX, there will be particularly manifests that carry these trash cars. And then for Norfolk Southern, there's this actual trash trains, two of them, one that goes into New York and then one that goes out back to Ohio. Cool with that? All right. So I'm now going to explain more about this, about the Raritan Valley line. New Jersey Transit Rail Lines. All right. I'm going to share my stream now. Let's show you the search image for this. So I'm going to try to zoom in here. View image. All right, here we go. All right, so obviously a lot of the lines you guys see are in northern New Jersey and central Jersey. So the RVO was what I was just explaining, which is High Bridge to New York, which is obviously XC&J line, X Central Railroad of New Jersey, which used to run in like long time ago. And yeah, things like that. There are more lines of NJ Transit that you probably see here. One that goes to the Jersey Shore known as the North Jersey Coastline, which goes from Bay Head to New York. Or the Northeast Corridor, which actually is used by multiple passenger rail line services, not just NJ Transit, but as well as that SEPTA, MARC, Amtrak, Metro North, and much more, which is the Northeast Corridor, which goes from Washington, D.C. to Boston. But yeah. So now, yeah, the Northeast Corridor is one of my favorite particularly passenger rail line systems of America. And another one that you guys probably see here is the Morris and Essex lines. So not just that, there's three lines that I'm going to explain here. The Montclair-Boonton line, the Morristown line, or the Gladstone branch. The Gladstone branch goes from New York or Hoboken to Gladstone. And same with that, the Montclair-Boonton line and Morristown line, which goes from Hackettstown to Hoboken and Penn Station. And more lines that go out of Hoboken are known as the Port Jervis line, Maine and Bergen line, or the Pascack Valley line. Those three lines all usually have diesel sets, which go in and out of Hoboken. Oh, yeah. And the line that you guys see in the very south, that goes out of Philly and Atlantic City, is the Atlantic City line, which obviously South Jersey, which is all diesel service. don't know electric. The electric service trains, the electric lines are usually the North Jersey Coastline, Northeast Corridor, Gladstone, or Morristown lines. So yeah. And RVL too, if they need it. But RVL is mostly diesel. But yes. But now, I kind of want to move on to the freight railroads. All right. Now, since I'm back on the stream again. So, for freight railroads, obviously in the East Coast, obviously New Jersey, you'll see is CSX or Norfolk Southern, which are the class 1s. And I've seen those all the time. Like I just explained in one of my videos, was that Norfolk Southern trash empties, which carried that SD70 Ace Leader. But I'm now going to show you guys a different video, which is a CSX train. All right, I'm going to share my stream here and show you guys the CSX train. So, over here, it goes from Philadelphia to Manville, and then merges with the CSAO Lehigh line, which goes all the way and meets with the river line, which goes north. The leader of this CSX train is a General Electric ET44AH, which is obviously also known as a GEVO, which I call it all the time. We call a bunch of these units similar to that GEVOs. And as well as that, you can tell this has a K5HL horn, which is commonly used on these GEVOs. And there are 2 GEVOs on this train, so yes. So, before I continue this video, these trains over here are the high priority intermodal trains. So, obviously, intermodal is one of the most important things on the freight railroads, especially class 1s, which are used to transport goods all around the country. So, yeah. So, I-32, for example, which is Jacksonville, Florida, to North Bergen, New Jersey, which carries intermodal, but for an amount of time, this train couldn't run up to North Bergen because of a project that happened in Baltimore with the tunnels, known as the Baltimore Tunnel Project. And before that happened, they had to carry this train on single stacks. And still they have to do to this day because they got to raise 2 more bridges in the Baltimore area so they could support the double stacked trains that could go through into Jersey from Jacksonville, Florida. So another thing you guys notice is the trailers. The trailers on an intermodal train are usually what you see on the trucks. And same with the container stacks too. And in parts of northern New Jersey and Philadelphia and Baltimore, all have very popular intermodal yards near the ports where they transport the intermodal to the ships. Domestic is usually what's used in this country, and international stacks are what go out towards the world. So let's say Port Newark, for example. Well, Port Newark is one of those yards for NS and CSX to transport their international stacks to foreign countries. Anywhere. So I'm going to continue the video here so you guys can see what the stacks contain and what the company's names are used for these. So, yes, you guys have probably recognize some companies that use these stacks. One you guys obviously could tell is Amazon. Well, Amazon is now used a lot on CSX trains all around the country. And they get transported a lot in Jersey and New York, which I've noticed on a few symbols, some that go out of Bedford Park, Illinois, which is commonly based in Chicago, and as well as that, the ones from Southern, the ones that go from the South. And as well as that, you'll see a lot of them come out of Chicago. Because Chicago is one of those huge, they have like a lot of yards over there, and that's where they interchange with a ton of railroads. And that's where we're going to go to the foreign power. So commonly used. So in this video here is another CSX train which carried BNSF Power, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which is a railroad based in the West Coast. Obviously, you can go to Chicago and west of there, but this train came out of North Dakota and is headed to a place down in Pennsylvania known as Eddystone. Eddystone, Pennsylvania is an oil refinery for crude oil. Let's show you guys the video now. All right, now I'm going to pause the video here. So, the locomotive that you guys see trailing second is an old paint known as a BNSF H1. An H1 was commonly used in BNSF for the 1990s. After the merger between Burlington Northern and Santa Fe, now commonly known as BNSF, they used the H1 was their first known paint after the merger of the two railroads. And a modern merger you guys probably have noticed is the railroad known as CPKC. CPKC is the railroad that was once known as Canadian Pacific or Kansas City Southern, which now merges CPKC, is the railroad that can go into 3 countries now, which is now America, which you know is America, Mexico, and Canada. Yeah, now I'm going to pass on this video to another one. Now I want to show you guys another intermodal train known as which is another domestic stack, which has a special unit. This was also at Boundbrook, which had the Norfolk Southern 1071, which is the Central Railroad of New Jersey Heritage Unit, which is also to be a special interest or heritage, which led the 22X out of Chicago, which was bound for the Croxton Yard in Jersey City, New Jersey. Here we go. I'm going to pause the video here. Now, another thing I was talking about before was the northeast. The northeast. I was trying to think what I was saying. All right. So what I was saying was the northeast corridor. So now these videos you guys see here, all these Amtraks, are known as a lot of them. So you guys have probably heard of the Acellas, the Northeast Regionals, and other trains that go along the East Coast. The Northeast, I was tweaking. All right, the Northeast corridor has a lot of these trains. So usually in the daytime, you'll see is NJ Transit or Amtrak around this side. So now I'm going to show you guys a video of a train known as the Northeast Regional, which had a push-pull set at Princeton Junction. And this had a unit up front and a unit at the rear. And obviously, you guys could tell this is electrified. And it has catenary poles on the top. Catenary poles are what power the electric onto the trains that go in and out of DC, New York, Boston, Philly, and much more. So yeah, let's play the video. Yes. So that video had, so that train was going at about, around like 120 miles an hour. Pretty fast. The fastest the train can go on this line is 150. Now, after the new Amtrak Acela Avelias came out, the Avelia Liberties, I'm going to show you guys two videos of the Acelas. The 2256, which was from Boston to Washington, D.C., which was a train that had an old Acela set that is soon to be retired. This was going at 150 miles an hour. All right. So that was the old Acela. Now I'm going to show you guys the brand new one. So here's a video of the brand new one.
Wawa's newest $6 meal deal is here, and it's so you. The sandwich you crave.
This was taken at North Elizabeth. So about these new Acelas, they were built in Hornell, New York in a facility. They got transported by freight trains all the way, well, Amtrak locomotives on the freight lines, all the way from New York to Philadelphia, where most of them sit to this day. A few weeks ago, they have 4 of them that run on the Northeast Corridor. And that's a good start for them. And hopefully in the future, you'll see more of these Amtrak Avelias. So yeah. Now let's move on to the next one. Foreign power. And yes, foreign power is common amongst the country. So foreign power, like I said, you'll see, like I explained, the BNSF that came on a train out of North Dakota. So let's show you guys a video of Canadian power. trains from Canada. So this video also at Bound Brook was a CSX train B706, which came out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and is bound for Chicago, Illinois on the Canadian National Interchange. So yeah, that was that. Another thing that you guys would probably notice are leasers, which I'm not really going to show, are what sometimes when railroads borrow locomotives from a company that's leasing the locomotive. Let me see if I can find an older video of a leaser that I have. I believe I do have a video of a leaser. I'm going to look down here and find a video of a WFRX XBNSF SD70 Mac. I don't know if I have one posted on here, but I got to post one of the videos of that soon. So a leaser is, yeah, you guys would obviously want to see a leaser. But this right here is not necessarily a leaser. NS bought that locomotive off another railroad. So, yes. But, yep, that's also want to tell you is now I'm going to move on to the local freight short line operations now. So let's talk about the Chesapeake and Delaware. You'll see these a lot in northern New Jersey. Obviously, one of my local lines that are not too far from where I live is what you'll see is the is NJ Transit 4111 pulling some of the C&D locomotives. The reason why you guys are going to probably see Norfolk or NJ Transit locomotives leading on a short line up here is because I don't know the full story of it, but they're just going to need the power for that reason. Sorry if I didn't explain it right, but from what I know is that they can't allow leaders of other short lines onto NJ Transit trackage because it's NJ Transit trackage rights. So, yep. That is all I have for New Jersey railroads. Stay tuned for some other live stream videos of maybe I'll do railroads of New York and railroads of Pennsylvania of what I know. So, guys, thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next video. Rails of Eastern Iron.